The Luna ring on Sienna Cross's finger had turned the color of storm ash. Claire Ashford noticed it before she noticed her former husband. The moonstone should have glowed silver beneath the chandeliers of Frostfang Hall. Instead, it sat dull and lifeless, like a stolen eye refusing to blink tonight. 18 months earlier, Adrian Vale had stripped Claire of her Luna title before 300 wolves. Now, he waited beside the obsidian council table, broad shoulders squared beneath a black ceremonial coat. Sienna stood at his right, wearing Claire's ring and a white dress, chosen to suggest innocence, fertility, victory. Claire crossed the hall without lowering her gaze. Every step reopened memories she had buried beneath work, distance, and a new surname. In her gloved hand rested the severance paper she had been summoned to sign. A crimson royal seal marked its corner, but the wolf's crown carried a crack. Claire had catalogued royal documents for 8 years. The true seal had no fracture. Adrian either had never examined it or had chosen not to. That possibility hurt worse than Sienna's smile. "Sign," Adrian said. His voice was controlled, polished, and cold enough to make nearby pack members flinch. Sienna touched her flat stomach with theatrical care. "The pack deserves peace before my child is born," she murmured. A few wolves looked away. Others watched Claire with the eager discomfort of people relieved that public cruelty had selected someone else. Claire placed the unsigned document on the table. "There is no child named in this medical claim, no lawful severance, and no valid crown authorization," Claire said. Sienna's smile tightened. Adrian leaned forward. "You were summoned to surrender your remaining claims, not to reopen old accusations." "Then stop presenting forged paper as law," Claire replied evenly. The hall seemed to contract around them. Adrian's wolf stirred behind his eyes, turning them molten gold. He had expected bitterness, perhaps tears. He had not expected Claire to return sharper than the woman he expelled. Sienna sensed his hesitation and immediately pressed closer to his arm for protection again. "She threatened me before the ceremony," Sienna whispered loudly enough for the gallery. Claire heard the trap close. Adrian stepped around the table. "You will come with me." "No." The single word landed harder than a shout. His jaw flexed. "Claire," he warned, "that was not a request." Alpha command rolled through the hall, a violent pressure beneath sound. The silver scar around Claire's left wrist ignited under her glove. Pain climbed her arm and hooked behind her ribs. Her knees trembled once. She locked them. She would break standing before she knelt for Adrian again that night. At the far end of the hall, a stranger in a black winter coat watched without amusement. Snow melted along his shoulders. He stood beside 4 silent men Claire had assumed were northern merchants. Yet none of them touched their weapons when Adrian's guards moved toward her across marble. Claire chose before fear could negotiate. She stepped away from Adrian, crossed between the guards, and stopped before the stranger. His eyes were dark gray, steady, and unreadable. "I need you to be the reason I came here," she said softly. Then she gripped his collar and kissed him. Shock detonated across Frostfang Hall. Adrian snarled her name. Sienna gasped. The stranger did not seize Claire or deepen the kiss. One hand settled lightly at her waist, only when pain made her sway. When she pulled back, humiliation burned her face, but his expression held only recognition, never mockery. Adrian reached for Claire. The stranger turned, placing a black metal seal upon the council table. Its moonstone core blazed white. The 4 supposed merchants dropped to one knee. Royal guards filled the doorway. Then every Frostfang wolf bowed as one. Claire had kissed Alpha King Nathaniel Blackwood himself. The hall remained bowed after Nathaniel's name was spoken. Claire stood beside him, breath shallow, lips still warm from the kiss she had used as a weapon. Adrian stared across the marble floor, humiliation sharpening his features. Sienna clutched the gray Luna ring as if it could protect her now. Nathaniel lifted his gaze toward Adrian. "Release the command." The king's voice was quiet, yet every wolf heard it. Adrian resisted for one dangerous heartbeat, then withdrew his dominance. Air rushed back into Claire's lungs. Her left wrist burned beneath the glove, but she refused to cradle it before them. "She planned this," Adrian said. "She brought you here to shame me," Claire almost laughed. 18 months ago he had erased her name. Now he accused her of arranging a king-like hired theater. Nathaniel offered no defense for her. Instead, he turned and asked, "Do you request sanctuary willingly?" "Yes," Claire answered. "Protection from coercion, not ownership." A flicker of approval crossed Nathaniel's face. He extended his hand without touching her. "Then walk beside me." Claire ignored Adrian's warning growl and crossed the hall under hundreds of lowered eyes, carrying her unsigned severance paper like evidence. Not surrender now. Outside, black vehicles waited beneath freezing rain. The moment the rear door closed, the mate bond twisted brutally. Claire folded forward, fingers locking around the seat. Nathaniel noticed the silver scar exposed above her glove. He did not touch her. "May I call a healer?" he asked gently, without command. "No healer from Frostfang," she said through clenched teeth. "And no one reports this to Adrian." Nathaniel nodded once. "Agreed." He shifted farther away, granting space inside the armored car. Claire hated that simple courtesy could feel extraordinary. It revealed how completely Adrian had trained her to expect intrusion instead. At the royal guest house, Claire refused the bedroom prepared for honored visitors. She chose the library, where exits were visible, and no servant hovered. Nathaniel entered alone, removed his wet coat, and placed the true royal seal on the table between them. "You were already investigating Frostfang," she said. "For 6 months," he replied. Royal medicine and grain vanished along the northern route. Anonymous reports identified patterns my auditors missed. Claire kept her expression still, although her pulse changed. "You knew those reports were mine." Nathaniel met her eyes. "I suspected. Tonight confirmed it." "Convenient," she said coldly then. "I did not know Adrian would summon you," Nathaniel answered, "nor that you would kiss me." A trace of dry humor touched his mouth, then vanished when she did not smile. "Your amusement ends there," Claire said. "My testimony, evidence, and name remain under my control." "They will," he promised. Royal Legal Officer Mara Voss arrived carrying silver powder, moonwater, and a lens etched with crown runes. Claire laid the severance paper flat. Mara dusted the crimson seal. Under ordinary light it appeared flawless. Beneath moonwater, however, a hairline fracture glowed across the crowned wolf's left eye, unmistakably false there. Mara compared it with Nathaniel's seal. "This impression came from the stolen matrix," she said, "removed from the royal vault 2 years ago." Claire felt the room narrow. Her civil divorce had been filed 18 months earlier. Someone had prepared the weapon before Adrian ever accused her publicly of theft. Nathaniel watched comprehension harden her face. "The bond was never lawfully severed," Mara continued. "A valid right requires voluntary blood from both mates and tribunal witness. Coercion leaves a silver-bind scar." Claire slowly removed her glove. The pale ring around her wrist shone under moonlight like wire embedded deep. At Frostfang, Adrian stood alone before Sienna's darkened ring, insisting Claire had manipulated the king, yet doubt had already entered him. In the guest house, Mara lowered her voice. "Only 7 elders and the Alpha King could enter that vault." Claire looked at Nathaniel. "Then one of them framed me." At dawn, Claire returned to Frostfang beneath royal protection, though she refused to walk behind the guards. The packhouse rose from the snow like a monument built over a grave. Her name had vanished from the brass Luna plaque beside the entrance. Someone had scraped away every letter, leaving pale wounds in the metal. Nathaniel watched her notice, but he offered neither pity nor interruption. Inside, the old Luna office smelled of dust, cedar, and Sienna's floral perfume. Claire's mother portrait was gone. Adrian's portrait occupied its place, larger than necessary, while Claire's emergency plans had been rebound beneath his name. Marcus waited near the ledger shelves, guilt tightening his mouth. "You should leave before the council arrives," he murmured. "Someone already tried to destroy what you came to find." Claire faced him. "Did you help erase me?" Marcus flinched harder than any confession required. He said he had obeyed Adrian because opposing an alpha meant losing rank, family protection, perhaps his life. Claire opened the nearest ledger and found pristine pages, copied too perfectly, without the pressure marks her original entries left. "These are replacements," she said, "and you knew." Marcus lowered his eyes. Claire moved to the wall behind the silver wolf emblem. Her mother had taught her that every Luna needed one hiding place the Alpha did not control. She pressed two carved fangs together. Stone shifted with a low scrape, revealing a narrow compartment. Inside rested a packed ledger wrapped in oilcloth and a moonstone pendant on a broken chain. Claire's composure cracked for one breath. She touched the pendant once, then returned to work. The ledger's final pages carried her signature beside transfers she had never authorized. Nathaniel leaned close enough to read but did not reach across her hands. Every suspicious entry had been made during the week Claire suffered silver poisoning. Only Adrian, Marcus, and healer Evelyn had known she was unconscious behind an unguarded Eastern infirmary door. A metallic click sounded behind the shelves. Claire saw Nathaniel's eyes shift before the masked attacker lunged. She dropped beneath the first strike, seized the silver dagger from her boot, and slashed across his forearm. He was stronger, but he expected panic, not calculation. Claire kicked a rolling ladder into his knees, then pulled the fire chain. An iron shutter crashed between them at once. Royal guards rushed in from the corridor, but Claire had already reached the archive passage. The attacker escaped through a service window, leaving blood on the sill and a bronze insignia shaped like 7 crescent moons. Nathaniel picked it up with a cloth. "Council issue," he said. Claire's pulse remained fast, yet her voice steadied. "Then the vault thief knows I found the ledger today." Marcus blocked the doorway when Claire returned. Terror had replaced guilt. He admitted someone from the council visited Frostfang during her poisoning, but he refused to name the elder. Before Claire could press him, bells sounded outside, announcing the arrival of the council delegation. Marcus whispered that they would search the office first. Claire handed Nathaniel the insignia, then hid the ledger beneath her coat. Nathaniel offered to order every council member detained. Claire refused. Arrests without proof would let Gideon's allies claim royal tyranny and bury the evidence forever. She chose instead to leave through the passage her mother had preserved. Before entering it, she returned the copied ledgers exactly as she found them. Whoever framed her would believe their secret remained safe until the Moon Tribunal doors opened. Snow swallowed Claire and Nathaniel as they emerged beyond the wall. Inside her coat, the ledger pressed against her ribs. Around her neck, the moonstone pendant warmed. She opened the book beneath the vehicle's light and found one final notation beside her forged signature. Payment authorized while patient unconscious. Only 3 people knew that room was unguarded, and one had just tried to warn her. Blackwood Citadel rose above the frozen valley, all dark towers, silver banners, and windows burning against the storm. Claire entered beside Nathaniel, not behind him. Counselors waiting beneath the vaulted ceiling studied her with open skepticism, their expressions making one thing clear. Sanctuary had not yet earned her respect here. Elder Sabine Rowan, the loudest of them, tapped Claire's recovered ledger with one lacquered nail. "A disgraced Luna brings stolen records into the royal court and expects us to trust her arithmetic." Claire removed her gloves. "No, I expect you to verify it." Nathaniel's mouth nearly curved, but did not. Before the council could answer, a royal messenger entered, carrying 3 red notices. Medicine wagons had stalled north of Iron Pass. 2 grain depots were empty. A blizzard would close the roads by midnight. Sabine turned toward Nathaniel. "We need a commander." Nathaniel looked at Claire. "We need a planner." He gave her 2 hours, every warehouse inventory, and no authority beyond written recommendations. Claire accepted without protest. In the strategy chamber, she spread maps across a moonstone table, compared departure times, weighed road grades, and ignored the council members whispering that failure would expose her as an ambitious fraud. The numbers revealed the lie within minutes. Supplies were not disappearing randomly. Every missing shipment had been redirected through Frostfang territory, then divided among companies registered near Gideon Crow's silver mines. Claire circled the routes in black ink. "This is not weather damage," she said. "Someone designed a famine deliberately." She proposed bypassing Iron Pass entirely. Human freight trucks from Oakhaven could reach the eastern ridge before snowfall, while neutral blackpine wolves escorted the medicine over the final 20 miles. Sabine scoffed that humans could not be trusted. Claire slid 3 trade contracts toward her. "They already trusted me last winter." Nathaniel asked what she needed. Claire named fuel, 6 drivers, 2 healers, and permission to release reserve grain from the southern vault. Nothing more. He granted each request publicly, then made the council sign witness copies. No one would later rewrite her success as royal instinct or a king's charity. The storm struck early. Wind hammered the citadel windows while reports arrived in bursts. One truck lost an axle, a bridge iced over. Blackpine demanded double payment. Claire adjusted without panic, rerouting 2 wagons through an abandoned mining road she had mapped years earlier while managing Frostfang's relief network alone. Near midnight, the first medicine caravan reached the northern clinic. A second messenger confirmed the grain convoy had crossed before the pass vanished beneath snow. Relief broke across the chamber, but Claire exhaled and capped her pen. 12 children would receive fever medicine by dawn. That mattered more than applause. Sabine's expression had changed, though pride kept her from offering praise. Nathaniel did not spare her the effort. Before the full council, he said, Claire Ashford identified the theft pattern, designed the route, and saved the convoy. He named no royal contribution. He did not place himself inside her victory. Later, Claire found him alone in the map room, studying the black circles around Gideon's companies. Firelight traced the hard line of his jaw. "You knew my name before Frostfang," she said. Nathaniel met her gaze. Silence answered first, and that delay felt too familiar, too close to betrayal again. He finally opened a locked drawer and removed copies of the anonymous reports she had sent from the human city. Her phrasing, calculations, and private routing codes covered the pages. "I suspected the author was you," he admitted. Claire's fingers tightened around the table. "Then you were never a stranger." Nathaniel did not deny it. "I came to Frostfang searching for the mind behind warnings. I did not know Adrian had summoned you, or that you would choose me." Claire held his gaze, anger mixing with understanding. The king had not found a disgraced Luna. He had found his investigator. Frostfang's winter stores failed 3 days after Claire's convoy saved the northern clinics. Families gathered beneath the packhouse balcony, holding empty ration tins and coughing children. Adrian watched from above, while Sienna stood beside him in Claire's Luna ring, its moonstone dull against her white gloves, offering no warmth that. Sienna ordered the guards to clear the courtyard. One mother refused to move until medicine was promised for her feverish son. Adrian almost intervened, but Sienna accused the woman of challenging Luna authority. The guards advanced. The crowd withdrew, yet the silence they left behind felt more dangerous than rebellion. In the council chamber, Marcus placed Claire's winter plans before Adrian. Each page predicted the shortages now spreading through Frostfang. Routes, reserves, emergency suppliers, even the bridge weakness that had trapped 2 wagons, were marked in Claire's handwriting. Adrian read every warning twice, then found his own dismissal beneath them. "She warned us," Marcus said. Adrian closed the folder too quickly. "She always expected catastrophe." Marcus did not look away. "No, she expected you to listen." The words struck harder because Adrian remembered saying Claire worried too much, controlled too much, demanded too much. Frostfang had survived because she had listened. Across the room, Sienna attempted the winter blessing. She pressed the Luna ring to the ceremonial flame and recited the oath Claire had once spoken. The moonstone remained gray. When Sienna promised to protect every child of Frostfang, heat flashed through the band. She screamed and tore it off violently. A black burn circled Sienna's finger. She blamed Claire's blood, claiming the former Luna had cursed the ring before leaving. Adrian stared at the moonstone lying between them. "Ancient lore," said the ring, answered intention, not possession. For the first time, he wondered what it had recognized in Sienna instead. That night, Adrian entered the medical archive alone. The pregnancy file rested exactly where Sienna said it would. He examined the ultrasound image, then the healer's notes. No timestamp appeared on the scan. No fetal heartbeat had been recorded. The signature belonged to Evelyn Hart, but the ink looked fresh. Adrian remembered Evelyn refusing to confirm the pregnancy publicly. He had called her cautious and accepted Sienna's explanation instead. Now the healer was missing, her cottage abandoned before dawn. When he ordered trackers to find her, Sienna appeared in the doorway, pale, except for the anger brightening her eyes suddenly. "You believe Claire now?" she asked. Adrian said nothing. Silence was answer enough. Sienna crossed the room and locked the archive door. Her fragile posture disappeared. "You chose stability," she said. "Do not become weak because your discarded wife found a powerful bed." Adrian's wolf surged at the insult immediately. He gripped Sienna's wrist, careful not to touch the burn. "Where is Evelyn?" Sienna smiled, but fear sharpened her scent. She claimed the healer had fled after falsifying Claire's records. Adrian heard the lie before she finished. 18 months earlier, he would have punished anyone else for less than that. At Blackwood Citadel, Claire reviewed the Frostfang shortages with Nathaniel. She saw the collapse coming, yet satisfaction never arrived. Children would suffer before Adrian understood what she had carried. Nathaniel asked whether she wanted royal intervention. Claire shook her head. "Not until we can protect the families from retaliation first." Nathaniel studied her, recognizing the difference between revenge and justice. Claire wanted Frostfang saved, even if its alpha deserved ruin. She opened Marcus's copied notes and found a supplier code repeated beside Sienna's medical payments. The same company had received stolen medicine, pregnancy, famine, and Claire's disgrace shared one account. Back at Frostfang, Adrian unfolded Claire's warning reports across the council table. Every prediction had come true. Every safeguard had vanished after her exile. Then Marcus entered carrying a sealed message from the royal court. Adrian broke it open and read the summons to Moon Tribunal. Claire returned as prosecutor. Moonlight flooded the royal archive through a ceiling of blue glass, turning every shelf silver. Claire stood before the sealed evidence table with her mother's pendant in one hand and the Luna ring in the other. Nathaniel waited beyond the warding circle, while Mara Voss prepared a blood lancet. No council member had been invited. Claire had insisted that the first truth belonged to her. Mara warned that Moonwarden relics answered blood, not rank. Claire pressed the lancet to her thumb. A dark drop struck the pendant and vanished into the moonstone. Light raced beneath Claire's skin, then leaped across the table. The Luna ring lifted from the velvet cradle, spinning slowly as silver fire threaded through its gray heart and filled the chamber with a low wolf song again. The ring opened like an eye. Images spilled into the air, fractured but unmistakable. Sienna stood inside Frostfang's archive, copying Claire's signature while Elder Gideon Crow guided her hand. Beside them lay the stolen royal seal and a ledger stained with medicine ash. Gideon promised that once Sienna became Luna, the northern silver mines would belong to his lawful daughter by oath and blood alone. Then a third figure entered the memory. Only his arm appeared beneath a dark, ceremonial sleeve. A signet flashed at his wrist before he turned the seal against the wax. Claire leaned closer, but the vision distorted. The hand could have belonged to Adrian, Marcus, or any high-ranking officer permitted near Frostfang's records. The ring snapped shut, leaving smoke and silence behind them all. Claire's knees weakened but did not bend. Nathaniel moved forward, then stopped at the warding line, waiting for permission. She gave none. Mara opened an ancient charter and explained that Moonwardens had once guarded Luna oaths from corrupt alphas and councils. Their blood could unlock testimony hidden inside relics and summon a tribunal, but it could not determine guilt by itself alone, ever, without evidence. Claire looked down at the glowing pendant. Her mother had carried this history without explaining it, perhaps because knowledge invited hunters. Power settled over Claire without comfort. If she invoked Moonwarden law, every council faction would know her bloodline. Gideon would stop hiding behind forged papers and begin targeting her body. Still, 12 children had died because someone stole their medicine. Silence had already killed. Nathaniel said the crown would protect her. Claire turned sharply. Protection did not save me from Adrian when everyone believed his title over my word. The accusation was not entirely fair, yet Nathaniel accepted it without defense. Then his wolf pressed against his control, drawn by the awakened ring, and Claire felt a second pulse answer inside her chest, strong, unfamiliar, and terrifying to her. She stepped back from him. Nathaniel closed his eyes once, then told the truth. His wolf had recognized a second-chance bond the night she kissed him. He had concealed it because Claire was still bound to Adrian, and because another mate claim might feel like a sentence. "You decided what I could bear," Claire said. "That is still a decision taken from me." Nathaniel's face tightened, but he did not approach. "You are right," he said. "I will not claim you, announce the bond, or use it before you choose freely. If you never choose it, I will carry that consequence. Claire searched for manipulation and found only restraint. It did not erase the secrecy, but it changed the shape of her anger slightly toward him that night. Claire placed her palm over the charter and signed the petition for Moon Tribunal. Silver fire crossed her name, then raced through the archive wards toward every pack governed by the crown. Nathaniel watched the summons leave without touching her. In the darkened ring, one final fragment flickered back to life. The third man's sleeve opening above a familiar scar. Someone Claire trusted had watched. By sunrise, printed council notices covered the gates of Blackwood Citadel. Each sheet carried a stolen royal watermark and one poisonous image. Claire kissing Nathaniel in Frostfang Hall. Beneath it, bold letters accused her of seducing the Alpha King, fabricating evidence, and seeking revenge against the husband she had abandoned. Nathaniel ordered the guards to tear them down. Claire stopped him before the first page moved. If the crown silences the accusation, Gideon will call it proof, she said. Let every pack read his lie, then let them watch me answer it with evidence. Nathaniel lowered his hand without argument. Before noon, Mara arrived from the Royal Infirmary carrying worse news. Healer Evelyn Hart had vanished. Her Frostfang clinic had burned during the night, destroying patient archives and medicine records. On the floor, beneath collapsed shelving, rescuers found a blood-stained cloak and one unbroken vial labeled with Sienna's file number. Claire examined the vial under archive light. The batch code matched payments hidden in the stolen relief account, but the medicine itself was harmless saline. Someone had used royal funds to manufacture a pregnancy that never existed. Before Claire could speak, a black feather fell from inside the cloak's collar. Black feathers marked the abandoned mining chapel north of Frostfang, a place Claire had once converted into an emergency grain depot. Gideon's message arrived seconds later. Withdraw the tribunal petition before moonrise, it warned, or Evelyn would die where Claire's charity had failed. Nathaniel's wolf surfaced fully, violent and immediate. Give me 20 guards, Nathaniel said. Claire shook her head. Gideon expected royal armor on the main road, and had probably mined the forest approaches. She requested 2 guards, Mara, a freight map, and access to Frostfang's old supply codes. Nathaniel gave her all 4, including his silence without resistance. Claire traced the chapel's forgotten drainage tunnel beneath the snow. Years earlier, she had designed it to protect grain from flooding. Now it carried her beneath Gideon's sentries. Inside, Evelyn's heartbeat fluttered behind a locked iron door, while silver wire stretched across the corridor at Claire's throat height ahead silently. She stopped Mara with one raised finger, followed the wire to a pressure plate, and wedged her silver dagger beneath its hinge. The trap released without ringing the chapel bells. Claire opened Evelyn's door herself. The healer was bruised, conscious, and furious enough to whisper directions to the guards outside. Sienna appeared before they reached the tunnel, holding a torch in one hand and a narrow blade in the other. Gone were her trembling voice and lowered lashes. You should have stayed erased, she told Claire. Behind her, flames climbed the chapel walls, sealing the entrance and consuming Gideon's records. Claire did not retreat. She kicked ash into Sienna's eyes, drove her shoulder into the false Luna's chest, and struck the blade from her hand. Sienna fled through a side passage before the guards closed in, but her sleeve caught firelight, revealing a burn shaped exactly like the Luna ring. Outside, Nathaniel's men pulled Claire, Evelyn, and Mara through the drainage mouth moments before the chapel roof collapsed. Nathaniel reached for Claire, then stopped himself. She crossed the distance voluntarily and placed Evelyn into his arms. Protect the witness, she said. I am going back to Frostfang with the truth. At the Royal Infirmary, Evelyn surrendered the original medical file. No pregnancy test, fetal scan, or heartbeat record had ever existed. Then she revealed the uglier fact. Adrian had questioned the missing evidence 18 months earlier. He ordered her silent, claiming public doubt would destabilize Frostfang and damage Sienna's heir. Claire felt no triumph, only a cold door closing inside her. Adrian had not invented the false pregnancy, but he had seen the emptiness beneath it and chosen convenience over investigation. By dusk, she rode toward Frostfang beside the rescued healer. Her husband had not been deceived. He had volunteered. The black royal convoy reached Frostfang at noon, cutting through fresh snow beneath silver banners. Claire sat in the first SUV, not beside Nathaniel, but across from Evelyn and Mara. When the iron gates opened, hundreds of wolves lowered their heads. Nathaniel stepped out, then waited for Claire to emerge. Some bowed to the king from loyalty. Others bowed because fear had finally changed direction. Claire descended without a crown, wearing a dark coat and her mother's moonstone pendant. The Luna plaque still hung beside the entrance, its surface scarred where workers had scraped away her name 18 months earlier. Pack members began to kneel again when Nathaniel approached. He raised one hand. "Stand. This tribunal was not summoned by my favor." His gaze moved toward Claire. "It was summoned by Claire Ashford under Moonwarden law. You will hear her evidence, and you will answer to the law she invoked." Claire crossed the courtyard through a corridor of familiar faces. No one reached for her. No one apologized. She preferred silence to remorse. Children huddled near empty ration crates, while their parents watched with exhausted hope. Claire promised herself the tribunal would not become a performance built upon their hunger. Inside the pack house, every portrait remained except hers. Claire walked past the garden doors, the council chamber, and the staircase where she had once waited for Adrian after border battles. Memory pressed against her ribs, but she never slowed. She entered the former Luna office and found Adrian waiting alone. He looked older than he had days before. Pride still held his shoulders straight, but sleeplessness hollowed his face. On the desk lay Claire's old winter plans, each page marked with his ignored warnings. "I know what Sienna did," he said. Claire closed the door. "You know what she did." Adrian flinched at the distinction. He admitted questioning the pregnancy file, the forged signatures, and Evelyn's silence. He claimed he feared panic, civil conflict, and challenges from neighboring alphas. Claire listened until he finished. "You feared losing control," she said. "So you let them destroy the person who questioned you." He stepped toward her, then stopped when the silver-bind scar brightened beneath her cuff. "I was wrong," he said. "Let me explain before everyone." Claire remained still. "You will explain before the pack, but not because I granted you privacy. You will explain publicly because they deserve the truth." A knock interrupted them. Marcus entered carrying a black encrypted drive and wearing no beta insignia. He placed both the drive and his silver rank pin on Claire's desk. "I kept this because I was afraid," he said. "I am giving it to you because fear already cost enough lives." Mara connected the drive to a protected royal screen. Security footage filled the wall. 18 months earlier, Marcus stood beside Adrian in the council chamber, comparing Claire's true signature with the ledger forgery. The difference was obvious. Marcus recommended a formal investigation. Adrian ordered him to seal the archive instead. On screen, Marcus asked whether Adrian believed Claire guilty. Adrian answered, "Opening this will divide the pack and strengthen her supporters. Close it." Present-day Adrian went pale. Claire felt uncertainty die. He had not merely failed to defend her. He had deliberately buried the evidence that could have saved her. Nathaniel entered only after Claire summoned him. He watched the footage once, jaw hardening, then asked what she wanted done. Claire ordered copies delivered to every tribunal judge and preserved in the royal archive. Marcus would testify publicly. Adrian would retain no private version capable of disappearing before morning again. Outside, tribunal bells began ringing across Frostfang. Wolves filled the great hall, while council banners descended beside the royal standard. Claire lifted the encrypted drive, then looked at Adrian. His regret was, but regret had arrived after choice. The footage did not show a deceived alpha. It showed a coward. The Moon Tribunal convened beneath 7 silver banners, with every bench in Frostfang Great Hall filled. Claire stood at the center table, the original pack ledger open before her, while Nathaniel occupied the royal seat without touching the evidence. Adrian faced her from the accused platform. Sienna stood beside Gideon, wearing the Luna ring over a blackened finger. Claire began with numbers. She traced 12 transfers from Frostfang's relief account into shell companies tied to Gideon's silver mines. Mara projected the bank records across the stone wall. Each payment carried Claire's forged signature. Each had been authorized while she lay unconscious from silver poisoning. Murmurs spread through the pack like wind through dry leaves. Evelyn took the witness circle next. Her hands trembled, but her voice did not. She presented the original medical file, and confirmed Sienna had never been pregnant. There had been no positive blood test, no fetal heartbeat, and no examination. The image shown to Adrian had been copied from another patient and purchased with stolen medicine funds. Marcus followed. Without his beta pin, he looked smaller, yet more honest. He identified the security footage and admitted he had warned Adrian that Claire's signature was false. When the recording played, Adrian's own voice ordered the investigation buried. No counsel manipulation could soften the choice. Adrian had seen doubt and treated it as inconvenience. Sienna suddenly stepped into the center circle. "The ring chose me," she cried, forcing it onto her burned finger. "I am Frostfang's lawful Luna." Claire placed one bloodied thumb against her mother's moonstone pendant. Silver light struck the ring. It tightened around Sienna's hand until smoke rose from her skin, and she screamed. The Luna ring opened its stored oath before the entire hall. Sienna appeared beside Gideon in the archive, copying Claire's signature while he promised her the mines and a recognized bloodline. Then Gideon pressed the stolen royal seal into wax. His face remained visible this time. The pack saw father and daughter build the lie together. Gideon's composure shattered. He accused Sienna of incompetence, then claimed the deaths caused by missing medicine were necessary losses. Sienna turned on him with equal fury, revealing he had promised council recognition if she displaced Claire. Their alliance collapsed in public, each confession tightening the case against them. Nathaniel said nothing. Claire needed no royal rescue. At last, Adrian entered the witness circle. His alpha aura had vanished beneath the weight of hundreds of watching eyes. He admitted he had doubted the ledger, questioned the pregnancy, and feared Claire's influence more than he feared injustice. "I chose control," he said, "and I called it duty." Claire did not look away. She requested judgment under Moonwarden law. Gideon's assets seized for the bereaved families. Sienna stripped of title and exiled under royal guard. Adrian removed as Alpha, and Frostfang governed by an elected regency. Finally, she requested lawful severance. The hall became silent enough to hear the winter wind scrape against the high windows. Adrian descended from the platform and knelt before the silver severance dagger. He surrendered his signet and placed his palm on the blood-packed paper. "I accept the judgment," he said. "I release Claire Ashford without claim, condition, or demand." For the first time, his apology asked nothing from her, and that made it almost bearable. Claire cut her palm, pressed it opposite his, and spoke the severance oath. Silver fire raced along the page. The scar around her wrist split open with white heat. Adrian gasped as the mate bond tore through them, one final agony carrying 8 years of love, betrayal, and unfinished grief. Then the tether snapped. Across the hall, Nathaniel's wolf answered with a pulse every elder felt. He extended one hand, palm open, offering neither order nor claim. Claire stared at it. Her old bond was gone, and the next choice belonged entirely to her alone forever. 3 days after the tribunal, Frostfang gathered beneath a pale winter sun to watch judgment become consequence. Royal guards escorted Gideon toward the silver vault, where no council title could reach him. His estates, mines, and hidden accounts were seized for the families whose children had died without medicine. He shouted that Claire had destroyed him. She answered by reading every victim's name aloud herself. Sienna was brought next, stripped of the Luna cloak she had worn like stolen skin. The gray moonstone ring was cut from her burned finger and sealed inside a glass evidence case. Under royal guard supervision, she was exiled beyond the 12 packs with no rank, fortune, or claim. Her last glance sought Adrian for rescue. He did not move, and Claire felt no triumph. Adrian surrendered the Alpha signet before the same pack that had once watched him banish Claire. An elected regency assumed control of Frostfang, while he remained only as a border warrior without command, privilege, or ceremonial seat. He accepted each restriction publicly, then signed an order restoring Claire's name to every record he had erased. She did not thank him. Restitution was responsibility, not romance. At Blackwood Citadel, the Seven Moon Council offered Claire the title of Royal Luna before the week ended. They praised her bloodline, her courage. Claire listened, then declined. A crown granted because of ancestry, or a king's desire, was still another cage with better furniture. She requested an independent office instead, and demanded a vote to earn it. Her proposal created the office of Covenant Chancellor, with authority to audit relief funds, investigate Alpha misconduct, protect coerced mates, and suspend fraudulent claims. Claire refused appointment until every pack could review her record and vote. 3 months later, the ballots were counted before witnesses. She won by merit, not inheritance. Nathaniel placed no crown on her head. He handed her the signed charter instead. The Luna ring was archived beside the forged severance paper and Gideon's broken council seal. Claire refused to wear it again. Frostfang would choose its next Luna under open law, not through fear, marriage, or inheritance. Her mother's moonstone pendant remained at her throat, the only symbol she kept because it carried memory rather than ownership. For the first time, power rested in her hands. Adrian requested one private meeting before Claire left Frostfang. She granted him 10 minutes in the empty courtyard, where snow covered the platform of her humiliation. He apologized without explaining, without blaming Sienna, and without asking for another chance. Claire accepted that he finally understood the harm, but she did not offer forgiveness as a doorway. He bowed once, then returned to his post alone. Nathaniel waited 3 months without speaking of the bond, unless Claire raised it. He attended her hearings, challenged her arguments when necessary, and obeyed every boundary she set. He never called patience, sacrifice, or expected reward. Claire watched him choose partnership repeatedly in rooms where nobody would have blamed a king for choosing control. Respect grew where pressure had once lived, and desire followed slowly. On the first spring morning, Claire met Nathaniel on the western balcony of Blackwood Citadel. Below them, representatives from all 12 packs gathered for her swearing-in. He offered her the final covenant charter. Its clauses protected her name, vote, property, office, and right to leave if the crown ever violated its oath. "This is not a mating contract," he said. "It protects your freedom completely." Claire signed first. Then she removed her glove and placed her healed wrist in Nathaniel's open hand. The second-chance bond warmed between them but did not close like a chain. "I choose this," she said, and kissed him. The first kiss had been an escape. The second was consent. When the 12 packs bowed, Claire did not stand behind their king. She stood beside him. So, Claire's story has finally reached its last page. Are you still here with me? Then perhaps something in her journey felt familiar. Maybe you have also been betrayed by someone you trusted, misunderstood by people who never asked for the truth, or forced to watch others believe the worst version of you. Claire was hurt, but she did not beg to be chosen. She did not stay where her dignity had become negotiable. She walked away, even when leaving hurt more than remaining silent. That may be the quiet lesson she leaves us. We cannot control who believes us, who betrays us, or who regrets losing us too late. We can control what we tolerate, what we protect, and whether we abandon ourselves just to keep someone else comfortable. An apology can acknowledge the damage. It cannot purchase another chance. And choosing yourself does not mean becoming cold. Claire still cared about Frostfang. She simply stopped confusing love with permission to be mistreated. Apparently, even a royal crown feels lighter when it is not balanced on someone else's bad decisions. If her choice spoke to you, comment one word: dignity. And if this story stayed with you, please leave a like, share it with someone who may need it, and subscribe for more stories like Claire's.